Music is an art that has changed dynamically along with our own evolution. Since the beginning of time, the way that people have made music, listened to music, and let music affect their lives and their society has changed. This is a technological advance that has created thousands of musical instruments and innumerable styles and trends. Recently, technology like the internet has enabled astounding ways to create and share all kinds of music. But where has this rapid advance left us? Where is it headed? I sat down with 3 musical individuals to get some opinions. Scott is the guitarist of the up-and-coming Ottawa band Of Reverie. Miwash is an electronic music producer and electronica enthusiast with a background in classical theory. And Matt is an aficionado of heavy metal music who plays guitar as a hobby. To get an idea of what things are like today, I started with some questions about technology in terms of making music and in terms of listening to music media.
So the way that you make your music, like your computer is basically the only tool. Right?
Yeah, I mean my computer is the hub for all this. However, recording sounds on my microphone is also a useful technique sometimes. Like recently I discovered something really cool. When you take your microphone and you point it at either the tweeter or the woofer of your speakers, you actually get a different kind of feedback. You get a low or high feedback, and you can kind of modulate between the two and get this crazy lightsaber sound. And so you can take things like that, just these totally experimental sounds, and sequence them and make music with that. So
are you still using, like, in a way, some physical instrument?
Sometimes, yeah. Most of the music is made completely electronically, but there are sampling-based ways of doing music.
We use things like Guitar Pro and things like that, which are just MIDI-based software programs that allow you to input, the notes into the software, and then it'll generate, and you can play them back. It may not sound like a real guitar, but it's close enough that people get a general idea. It allows us to translate our music and send it to each other in a very simple way, and it allows us to make changes on the fly and try out different things, and it's an inexpensive form of experimentation, because we can say, oh, well, what if we put that here? Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, edit, undo.
I actually got into the really technical side of production recently. Like you have frequency modulation synthesis, subtractive synthesis, additive synthesis. These are all techniques that once you know how they work, you can hear them in the music you listen to and tell how what bass waveform and what effects chain was applied to reach it.
It's kind of one of those snowballing things where I find if you really start to get into a genre that emphasizes the learning of an instrument, you tend to want to learn that instrument after a while. For me, it was a particular Ozzy Osbourne song that made me want to pick up a guitar, which I did at 16.
What's your media type? Are you all digital, or do you get CDs or vinyl or anything like that?
I don't get vinyl because I don't have a record player. I would get vinyl if I had a record player, because I really enjoy the sound of crackle of vinyl. So I mostly CD and digital. So I do buy CDs every once in a while. I have shifted to online purchasing ever since things like iTunes Store and Beatport have come around, because it's just so much easier. But sometimes owning a cover is good. I ordered one a month ago just to support the artist.
So there's some appeal in the physical media, like I guess they each have their own benefits? Yeah,
I think that the main appeal is that you're supporting the artist in a very direct way. But also owning the cover is something that you can physically put on your shelf, and when somebody comes over to your house, they can see your collection, and that way you can spark a discussion, whereas if it's all in your iTunes playlist or whatever, it's not as easy to, I guess, share it.
Most of my music is, I hate to say it, but it's downloaded. I do purchase some sort of like CDs and stuff like that. There's a lot of bands that I listen to that sort of, they only sell their music through CDs, but those are mostly sort of the underground bands that haven't been signed yet.
Do you prefer having like a physical medium, and do you think there's a difference, or is just newer better?
I don't know. I mean, to me, the music's the music. It doesn't really matter what medium you listen to it through. But I mean, there's something to be said for having a CD and having, a downloaded version of it. I mean, so some people attach themselves to that physical medium. I personally don't. But I mean, the sort of the movement is going completely digital, right? Most bands are selling their stuff through iTunes, and I mean, it's cheaper for them that way too, because they just put their stuff up on iTunes, for very minimal, if not no cost, and then they just make money off it.
A lot of the bands that I really like are the kind of bands that don't really make a whole lot of money off of what they do, or if they do, it's not off of album sales, it's typically off of touring and the like. So I usually try to buy their music whenever it comes out, specifically because, you know, I want to give them what support I can, because Lord knows they need it. But in terms of format, I'm one of those people who still buys CDs. One, because of the fact that I really still like having something physical that I can hold in my hands and say that I actually own it. And as well as the fact that, you know, I'm one of those suckers who reads the liner notes and looks at the artwork and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, that stuff has kind of become available recently too with digital, which I think is a good way to go.
3 different guys from 3 different backgrounds, united by a dedication to the art form and the social phenomenon called music. But with so many ways to make it, and so many forms it can take, can we ever identify just what is music?